But Randy, what was the purpose of the demonstration? First of all, what was it? I've seen some placards whilst you were showing. Julobi Brian. What has Brian stolen? Randy, what has Brian? What has he stolen? What has he stolen? That you can describe him as Julo. At this particular stage, what has Brian done? An advert is put in the papers by a state institution, which is governed by its board and management, to sell some aspects of the assets. A company belonging to Brian, not Brian's company alone, other companies put in a bid. So somebody becomes Julo because he put in a proposal. Just because Brian, a company that belongs to Brian, the champion, has put in a bid for estate assets or an asset belonging to Snakes, after an advert has been put in the papers by that same state company, Brian is being described as Julo. You say conflict of interest. You've taken it to Shraj. Shraj has not even sat on the case to determine whether there's conflict of interest or not. They're on the streets. Now, I heard my very good friend, my sister, the MP for La, Randy, he says they are resisting oppressors' rule. Where is the oppressors' rule in this whole transaction? She says that they are resisting oppressors' rule. Where in this whole transaction, based on the data that we have received, that demonstrates that government is oppressing its citizens? Tell me. He says they are resisting oppressors' rule. The demonstration is to resist oppressors' rule. What has happened? What exactly has happened that makes her think that the government is oppressing its citizens? Because a company belonging to Brian has put in a proposal to buy assets belonging to Snakes. I'm trying to understand this whole thing. And describing Brian as Julo, a thief. We did the same thing to Jacob Echebilamte. My same senior brother, Brian Okudzeto Ablakwa. Jake is a thief. He has stolen government's house, government assets. What happened in the Supreme Court? What happened at the Supreme Court? He lost the case. But by then, you had described Jake as a thief. That was what was in the public domain. You are telling Brian that he's a thief. Do you lobby? Because he put in the proposal. Why? Now they are talking about principle. Okudzeto says he's bringing a bill to Parliament that government officials should not buy assets belonging to government. Randy, I've sat here before. In principle, we are appointed to oversee assets belonging to the entire citizenry. So ordinarily, I don't have a problem with that principle. But at what point did Okudzeto realize this principle that they are talking about? At what point? When Mr. Hoy acquired some part of estate assets, net assets in Cape Coast, that principle was not part of it. It was not existent. The NDC members of parliament who are on the streets demonstrating, they forgot the principle at that time. So where's the principle? When NDC is in power and officials of NDC acquire state assets, there's no principle. When MPP is in power and a member of our party put in a proposal, because as we speak now, Brian does not own the assets. He's Julobi.
I just heard you say that in principle,
yes,
you disagree with the acquisition of state assets by politicians and politically exposed persons.
Yes.
Did I hear you right?
Yes.
Okay. Then you should be happy that there is the intent or the resolve to legislate same.
My problem is the people leading that legislation now.
No, so you're saying that, hold on, Chief.
Yes.
You're saying that because if that were the case, yes, then the point you're making is that if we're to go by what you're saying, it means that anybody who belongs to any of the political parties that has been in power in Ghana will not have the moral right to say that, look, enough of this thing. We should legislate and ensure that it stops.
Okay, I get the point I'm making. But I'm saying the one leading the charge and calling people Julobi and all that, I'm saying that he was politically active.
You mean Sami has called somebody?
No, oh, Randy, take your time. I saw the placard. I was just watching your
the placards.
Yes.
But not Okudzeto.
I mean, Okudzeto was the one leading the demonstration. He's the one leading the demonstration. People he has mobilized onto the streets are describing Mr. Brian Tampon as Julobi.
I didn't see
it.
I saw it.
Absolutely.
I saw it.
What is Julobi?
But I say honorable.
Randy,
What I'm saying is that inscriptions on placards during the demonstration.
I am saying that it is unfair.
Oh yeah,
it is absolutely unfair for you to demonize Brian at this particular stage when all he has done is to put in a proposal. When all he has done is to put in a proposal after the same Smith company has put in the graphic calling people to express interest in the purchase of their assets.
Right.
At what point does he become Julobi? But this is what's in the public domain. I've listened to all the conversations on radio and TV. Government is trying to give it the asset to Brian clandestinely without due process. But we are talking about board minutes. TUC is on the board. We are talking about board minutes.
Yeah, but we know what the TUC has said about the transaction.
And
the fact that they're saying that what they have said can be borne out by the board minutes.
I'm saying, Randy, for me, I don't have any problem. I'm saying the people leading the charge. I saw Fifi Kwete. I saw all those top NDC guys.
But they leading the charge.
Didn't you see Fifi Kwete standing by?
Yes.
Didn't you see the majority chief whip?
Yes, they were all there.
They were all there.
Yeah,
they were all there.
They led it, yes.
I am saying that where was the majority chief whip? When Mr. Atuahoy acquired as a minority shareholder in the Snitch Hotel in Cape Coast.
Which hotel?
Oh, please.
Which hotel? Tell me the hotel.
Time. I'm coming.
You've mentioned.
Oh, take what I've stayed at Snitch Hotel in Cape Coast.
Which hotel?
I'm saying he knows it.
No.
He knows what I'm talking about.
State, be specific.
Where is the principal? Where is the principal? Let me give you more names. Alhaji Hudu Yaya.
Which hotel Cape Coast?
Take your time, boss. You know I respect you.
No, but
Alhaji Hudu Yaya bought catering rest house in Tamale. Where was the principal? Where was Fifi Kwete? Where was Okudzeto Ablakwa? That's the point I'm making.
So are you suggesting
that's the point I'm making. When it is NDC,
Honorable, are you suggesting that I'm sure that Honorable Ablakwa can speak for himself, so I'm not here to it's not my responsibility to do that. Are you suggesting that because some of these things happened in the past, and it doesn't even matter whether some of the people you are talking to were in school when it happened or not, but are you saying that because of that it must continue? That's why earlier on I said that you said in principle you disagree, and so you believe that it is wrong, it's obscene, it shouldn't happen. Okay, but nobody is taking the steps to ensure that it doesn't happen. Somebody decides to take the step that it shouldn't happen with respect to the private members bill, and you say that because people associated with his political tradition have in the past engaged in that, he lacks the moral right to pursue same.
I'm saying.
Then who will have the moral right
to do
it?
In all the conversations, have you heard those leading the charge now mention anybody from the NDC who has acquired a state asset? In all the conversations,
yes,
it will be right for Okudzeto to say, hey.
But I've not heard them. See you, Honorable.
Because it is Brian.
Honorable, hold on.
No,
Honorable, hold on. I've not heard them speak about NPP persons who have bought state assets in the past. There is a current issue going on, and they have raised that issue and used that issue as a catalyst. Whether the issue of conflict of interest can be established or not, I don't know. That's for Shaj to come out and deal with it. Whether the issues raised about the impropriety of the transaction in terms of the processes and others, whether that can be sustained or not, I'm not in a position to say so. I hope you understand what I'm saying. But you talk about a principle, and that principle perhaps cuts across all political parties in the Fourth Republic. But you sit here and you say that in principle you disagree with that thing, which means that you don't think that it must continue. Now, a colleague of yours says that, look, that thing that you think must not happen, there is a semblance of it happening. Look, there are people who say it is right, there are people who say it is wrong. There are people who say even if it is wrong, there is the issue of due process.
Let me clarify.
Yes.
I think it is wrong if the person uses undue influence based on his position.
How do you establish the undue influence?
That is why Okudzeto has gone to strike.
No, I'm saying that how do you even establish the undue
I'm saying that's why Okudzeto has gone to
Because
strike.
there are people who say, if you listen to the trades union, they also raised issues about who is purchasing. There are people who believe that political office holders and politically exposed persons, by virtue of their proximity and access, must not come close to it. Because it's difficult for you to determine whether they... And on this program, I've sat here and both people in government and people being in government before, I've sat here and told us stories about how they are even called. I hope they've told those stories here. So the principle of, don't you say that you support the principle. I'm saying that somebody believes that, look, we should legislate it once and for all. If the majority of the people in parliament or majority of the people in the country believe that no,
Randy,
politicians should be free or politically exposed persons should be free to engage in that same way as anybody else, let that decision be
Randy,
made.
I have some information. They say 9 companies responded to the advert. I just want to ask a question. Rock City Hotel Limited, Yawado Development, Spartan Ives, Temple Investment, Westbridge Developers. If any of the companies had won the bid, would we be having this discussion?
I doubt.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So, in principle, people are not against SNITs diverting part of its shares or its ownership.
No, when you talk, Chief, when you talk about whether we'll be having this conversation, I was looking at the conversation centered around whose company is buying.
Yes, I'm saying that.
But in terms of whether people will agree
Yes.
with the diversion or not, the
Thank you,
valuation or not, that's another matter.
That's a matter. But I'm saying that we will not be having, because the whole discussion is like Brian is a cabinet minister. He owns a company. And by virtue of his position, he's bringing some influence to bear in the decision of SNIT.
Yes.
I am saying that if Brian had not won this bid or had not gone far with this bid, and any of the underlisted 8 companies had won, would we be having this discussion?
There won't be a conflict of interest issue. There won't be a political office holder, an allegation of a political office holder.
Fantastic. So the whole idea of selling some part of SNIT's shares is not the issue. The whole issue is because the one who seems to be leading in the whole bidding process is associated with...
No, I have a little problem in accepting that, because you see, when I listen to Labour, and I try to look at this issue beyond the Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa, because he's not the only person leading the charge. Labour itself has held a presser address by the head of Labour himself, and I can play it for you what
I
they
listened
actually said, and the position of their members on the board, and how their members on the board were against the processes. You understand what I'm saying? So people have raised issues about the processes, whether they are right or wrong. I'm saying that sitting here, I'm not in a position to make that determination.
Yes.
But they have raised those issues which they thought even needed the president's attention, and they have raised. If you listen to Labour, they even spoke about other things happening at SNIT that they seek to bring to the president's attention. And this, obviously, the other things will have nothing to do with the minister or the member of
But I heard of Okudzeto whilst was reading his petition that the president should sack any cabinet minister who is seen to be involved in this whole process. The president should sack Brian Champon because his company expressed interest in an advertisement that had been put out by a state institution.
Yeah, it's fair to disagree with you.
But I'm trying to understand the rationale behind the demonstration. That's the point I'm making. Conflict of interest has not been established yet. So this whole demonstration, what was it intended to achieve? And the whole demonstration, Randy, is about Brian. This whole demonstration. And they're not even talking about the company, it's about Brian. Brian the tampon is because his company is in government. Brian the tampon is in government. You are not being fair to the gentleman. You are not being fair to Brian. Because at the end of the day, if SRAJ, based on your petition, SRAJ rules that what you brought has no merit, you would have destroyed a reputation that has been built over the years. And Brian did not start Rock City just last year. He's been a businessman for a very long time. Gradually, a young man built such a beautiful edifice. Now, suddenly, look at what you are doing to him. Demonstrating, get people on the street, and all that they are talking about is conflict of interest. Brian, government official, you are not being fair. You are just simply not being fair to him.